Three Rivers Regional Commission in the Franklin office. Miss Jeannie works in the Griffin office, and she's our planning director. And we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, obviously, and so hopefully we'll have those worked out. But I did go ahead and give you all a handout of the PowerPoint that I'm going to be going through on the wall. What I'm here to talk about tonight is the town of Sharpsurg is about to begin a process of updating their comprehensive plan. It will be for the years 2016 through 2036. DCA has new rules that they adopted in 2013, and they are now requiring you plan for 20 years, but do a full update of your comp plan every 5 years. So I'm going to kind of talk to y'all about why do you have to comprehensive plan. And if you look at your handout on the second slide on the right on the top, you plan to assess your existing conditions and your future needs for the community. And you also plan to establish community-based long-term vision for the city's future. You also plan to establish policy guidance for future actions based on a shared community vision. Then you want to formalize your plan to leverage public and private investment. And the most important thing is you do a comprehensive plan update to meet state planning requirements. The state sets a QLG expiration deadline. Sharpsurg's is October 31st of 2016. So we need to have this plan planned for, written, reviewed, and sent to the regional commission. We'll have another planner review it. Then we send it up to the state, they review it, and then they tell you if you can adopt it or if you need to make some changes. But this all has to be done and adopted by Halloween of next year. So on the next slide, on that second in the middle slide on the left, first page, it's your comprehensive planning team is made up of city staff, the consultant team, which is Three Rivers Regional Commission. You're going to have a steering committee that is selected by the elected officials. There's going to be about 5 to 7 people on it. One elected official must sit on the steering committee. Then the rest of the committee needs to be a mix of private citizens, staff. You need to have a staff person on it. And then somebody that has an economic investment in the community. It does not have to be a citizen. It can be somebody that owns a store or a business in Sharpsurg. And then of course the elected officials. In addition, the one person on the steering committee. As a team, you guys are going to review the plan, give comments back to us, and then adopt it. And also transmit it to us for review. The fourth slide is the planning horizon. Like I said earlier, it's a 20-year horizon that you plan for. It'll include a 5-year work program. In the past, it's been referred to as your short-term work program, but now they're calling it a community work program. But it's basically the same thing. They're just changed what they call it. And this is intended to be updated regularly to account for changes in the city, the economy, and the environment. Okay, on the fifth slide, plan framework. The community goals, there's 3 basic sections to the plan. And the first one is community goals. And in that section, there's going to be a vision statement. We're going to go through some state goals that are provided for by DCA, and you go through those goals, the steering committee will, and we'll pick the goals, and then we discuss them also at community meetings. Then there's also a character area map. That pretty much follows your zoning map. You want to keep it consistent for legal purposes, and we just basically talk about each area of, like, say, your industrial, your commercial, your residential, things like that. And then the middle part is your needs and opportunities. And those are your community priorities. Those are some goals that are important to the city, like you may want a community priority might be to have a new park or something like that. And then you need to put, if that's a priority, we need to tie a goal into your work program. And that's the last part, your community work program, that 5-year action plan. And you list long-term and ongoing activities, because an example of ongoing is like, continue to maintain the streets. That's ongoing. The next slide is planning process timeline. I actually printed a big sheet of that. That's not set in stone. I just gave that those months as an example. But, if y'all don't want to get started on the steering committee meetings, and I think I put December, if you want to wait till January, that's fine. But as you can see, that's going to, if we stay on that course, we would have the thing adopted by June, and that's way ahead of schedule. So it's definitely flexible in there, and but that's just an idea of how the events go. Okay, and then on the second page of my handout is the question slides. So I'm sorry we didn't get the technology going, but does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, you made a lot of things you said between the headings. Is there any way you can see that in writing? Well, not tonight, maybe.
Oh, let's see.
Do you understand my question?
Which
She's got a lot of headings here, and then she said a lot of things between the headings, explanation.
Oh, yeah. I just don't like to read it straight off the slide. I just kind of give my little points on there, and then I talk other things. But
I guess what she's asking is there more to the presentation than these 6 slides?
no, ma'am, that was it. And then I just sort of talked in between the bullet points, kind of explaining the slides.
Gotcha.
But yes, if anybody has any questions.
Kimberly, is this considered the initial kickoff?
It is.
On here?
It is. It's the kickoff.
It doesn't have to be one right after the other. Like you said, it can start in November now and go to January to start.
Sure. Yes. And the next step to get the process started is I need you guys to select your steering committee and have your clerk contact me with the names and addresses, and then we can schedule a meeting. If y'all want to start it in January, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
How would you rank this team of all the 5 entities? How would you rank them as far as importance to the whole plan?
Every bit we're equally important, and we all work together to complete the plan. So definitely the community is important, the steering committee is important. That's everybody that plays a role in the process, and we all have equal processes. We're going to have a community visioning meeting, and that way the community will be involved at that meeting, and there's also a community survey that will go out for feedback from the community that way as well. And we can post that on y'all's website. You could put it on the bottom of a water bill. If y'all have a Facebook page, we can post the link there. We do it through SurveyMonkey.
Do we have the website?
You sure have.
It's up running.
Yeah. In fact, everybody get a notice to look at it today. Today was the first day it went out for our first time review, and it will be up and running very shortly, so we can put it on there. Ms. Brantley, do you have anything that you'd like to add now?
No, sir.
Oh, she got it.
I got it at the end.
Well,
But
we
if you
sure
have
don't
any
need-
questions or need anything, of course, Kimberly is going to be your project manager in this process. Like she said, she's actually in the Franklin office, I'm in the Griffin office, but
Right.
in either case, if you need any of us, just let us
Anybody else have any more questions?
Yeah, Kimberly, how do you go about accomplishing some of these things, like developing your steering committee? How do most towns reach out to get people to be members?
Mostly, well, this is how Turin just did it. They actually kind of picked their steering committee when I did the presentation. They talked amongst each other and said, which elected official do we want on it? And that guy said something, and then their staff was there, and then that person got on it, and then any volunteers from the audience, and that wasn't, I mean, then they put them on, and then I think there may have been like an somebody that owned the store wasn't there, but, and so it was pretty, that's how they did it. Other times, Hogansville is another town we just worked on. Theirs was done in secret. I have no idea. I never got the list. I just showed up at the first stakeholder meeting and there they were. So I'm not sure how they did that.
How far along is Hogansville site? Are they following this schedule that you put here fairly closely?
They actually got a very late start. They did not start until March, and they were notified in the fall, just like y'all were. They didn't get started till March, and then they had their draft in July, but they're still
So
working on
you're
it.
ahead of us, then, what you're saying.
Mhm.
You're ahead of us.
Yes.
Yes, I'm ahead on your town for
Right.
sure, because y'all went ahead and contacted us. So that's really good that we can go ahead and start. And like, I'm trying to think. LaGrange, they started in March. They started late too, but they've adopted theirs in October. And yeah, I mean it's doable to start in March, but it's not preferable. You know, it'd be good to start in January.
We'll do that.
Okay.
So at each one of the meetings we have to start trying to develop one of these one of the parts of it, you or a member of the staff will be there to help give us instruction and guidance.
Yes, we facilitate all the steering committee meetings, and I bring in exercises and things like that. And then I don't have it in here because the community visioning meeting, they're not required. However, I like to have at least one because I feel like just doing the survey meets the state requirements, but I feel like it's just not enough in my opinion. I think you ought to have one community meeting and at least give everybody an opportunity to come out and do the exercise sheets. And we got like, in Hogansville, we got like 40-something pages of community comments. So it was a really, really good turnout.
How is the survey done?
The survey is done on SurveyMonkey. The steering committee develops, there's usually 10 questions, and the steering committee at our first or second meeting will come up with those questions that they feel is important to ask the community.
So 10 questions is all you need to get an idea? That doesn't seem like much.
Well, that's in the survey. A lot of other exercises and community feedback is done at that visioning meeting.
When we send out the surveys, we don't want to sort of overwhelm anyone, so 10 is a good number to send.
Survey Monkey won't do but 10 anyway, will they?
But of course, we are going to facilitate all of your meetings. That's a part of what we do. And we've been completing these plans on schedule, so there's no issue with that. And we usually get approval with DCA on the first submission, so shouldn't have any problems
Don,
with
you've got a
that.
question, please?
Mayor, not a question, and I don't know if it's appropriate for me to comment or not, but being from Sonoy, they are ahead in this process. And if it's appropriate, I'd like to share, as I mentioned to you beforehand, I have no connection with the government, although I have tried to be part of the government unsuccessfully. But I'd like to share, if you wish to hear it, from a citizen's point of view of how the process began and my concerns about it, if that's appropriate.
Yes, please, if you'd like to step up to the podium.
The,
I'd like to hear it.
The selection of the persons in Sonoy for the steering committee took place before the first public hearing. And it took place by the government of Sonoy deciding who would be on the steering committee, bringing it before a public meeting and adopting it, which meant that no citizen, no ordinary citizen not connected with the government is currently on that steering committee. I have prepared a petition to the government, which I will send them in the next couple of days, volunteering to be on the committee, because I personally feel it's so important that in the community, the citizens feel that they are a vital part of this and their input is necessary and that it will be appropriately considered. But if you have a steering committee who has the power then to prepare the final document to present to the elected government, it raises the unnecessary perception of maybe the end product turns out to be only what the government wants and maybe not necessarily the thoughts and the contributions of the citizens.
Exactly. Yes.
And so you have an opportunity here in your city to involve the public. Now, it's difficult to involve the public. At the first briefing, the same one that being given here, no citizens turned out, that only a few people connected with the government and 4 of the steering committee. And that happened because the notice that was put out was sort of engineered down. And as I mentioned to you, congratulations to this city for putting out a really good notice. So those are my comments and those are my concerns, and thank you for letting me express those.
Question if I may, how many citizens were at that meeting, the first meeting?
The first meeting, there were no citizens at that meeting, including me, because the notice was so small, I missed it in the paper.
But was it a regular scheduled?
Public hearing, a regular scheduled public hearing, and the TRRC folks came to brief the public on what this is all about, and only the people, a few people on the steering committee and the government itself were there.
Good points. We appreciate your input. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You can come up here and be on ours. Any other questions of the ladies while they're here? Hearing none.
And just to add,
Yes.
DCA has a standard, there are some minimum requirements. We make sure the governments do the public notice, and if it goes in the paper, that's pretty much as we can do as far as how to get the public involved. We have large governments where the public doesn't really get involved. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but we provide the governments with the legal notices that you need to publicize to try to get the public there. If they don't come,
The notice was prepared.
Sonoya, we actually started on theirs. Theirs is gonna be due the same date that yours is done. We're also doing another project with them. So they actually wanted to get started earlier, and that's what we're doing with them. So we try to make sure the government does its due diligence as far as notifying the public about the meetings.
The steering committee, typically how many people would be on the committee would you need?
You want to have about 5 to 7 individuals on a community this size. You can put 12 on there. We're probably not going to get participation of the 12, so it's probably going to dwindle down back to the 5 or 7. It's at your discretion. You tell us how many folks that you want on your committee, that's fine. If you want 30 people in this room, that's fine. But the smaller the group, the better it is to work and to go through some of the exercises and the things that we need. We have kind of a couple of, or we set a schedule with you all. You tell us how many meetings you want to have. We try to limit them. I did have a government that had them once a month at lunch. They got out of control. And we didn't get the work done that we needed to do. So, you determine how many meetings you want, how many individuals you want to sit on your committees, and, we'll move forward there and just try to work with that group. So it's pretty much, you're in control of how this operates.
Can I make another suggestion? And I don't see how it goes over with y'all. I would think that maybe, it looks like there are gonna be 4 or 5 meetings that could be set in advance, so it wouldn't be schedule conflicts for people that are busy. That's, y'all always say that's a problem with getting people because of conflicting schedules and time.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
getting
we
blank
typically
faces.
do.
Huh?
We typically do that. We typically get with the city before the first one, and that's what I will give the steering committee at the first meeting is a schedule. Typically, those meetings are at whatever weekday works for them, either at 10 or 2, and they last about 45 minutes. We have had them go an hour, but it's usually about 45 minutes.
So it's 10 and 2 is the times.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay. Well, that's just something that people need to know,
Yes.
that they will be available at those times.
Right, and let me get my calendar.
Is that because of your availability, or what is that?
A lot of it does have to do with that, because I'm working on 3 comp plans, plus a pre-disaster mitigation plan, and I'm already getting booked. So, you know, if y'all can think of a day, like, let me grab my, I got it on calendar. Like, Spalding has already grabbed me at 10 a.m. every first Tuesday of the month in May. So, but I'm pretty much open right now.
Well, I think we would need to get the steering committee together.
Okay.
And then, because each one of them will have a different.
Right, so,
Right.
you know what we could do too, there's a thing called, what was the thing Senator Parker used? It was pole doodle or something, and we could do like a poll doodle of all the steering committee members, and then see, you know, you can pick which days and times, and then whatever wins, you know, cause like, that's an idea. So really and truly, the quicker y'all can get the steering committee to me, and then I can do the doodle poll, and that'll be good.
We'll work it out for you, get it to
Okay.
you right away.
Okay. And if we have to adjust the times, we'll just make sure that fits within Kimberly's schedule and.
That'll work.
Okay.
Well, we surely appreciate you taking the time to come out. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'm glad to help y'all.
And I apologize for.
No, ma'am, you're fine. At this point, we will go into our regular meeting. Ladies, you're perfectly welcome to stay. We'd like you to stay if you'd like, but if you'd like to ease out, we understand. But,
Just make sure I can. Oh, I can't use my. Never mind.
Council, in your package, there was a review of the minutes of October the 5th. If you have any time to read those, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion to accept them as written.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any additions or corrections to any of those minutes? Hearing none, we'll move on. Also, the last time we met, we had a work session prior to the meeting, and we pretty much agreed on what we wanted the cash management policy to say. So we wrote that up, and it was in your packet. If that is as you remember it to be, and there is no changes, a motion to accept or decline would be in order.
Motion to accept.
The motion is your second.
Second.
Any changes or additions or corrections to that as you remember it to be? Hearing none, all in favor signify by raised hand, please. So moved. With our new chairs, newly acquired chairs, we have all the old folding chairs left over. So we have talked about several things to do. If we put them up for sale, we have to go through the bid process. and we would like to donate them or give them away. We've tried talking to some churches. Seems like if they're gonna acquire them, they want brand new ones, but if you have any suggestions, or if you would like to, say, donate them to the Habitat Restore, a motion to those effects would be in order. So your suggestions, please. They're really in the way now, they're sitting back in the back, and we're gonna have to get them out of the way one way or the other, take them to the storage bin, because that's a fire hazard. We have to be able to have exit on that back door, and right now we can't.
What's the name of the men's ministry over in, Sonoy that helps, has a halfway house for guys in trouble?
Donald, you know what that is?
I'm
Started
sorry.
right there on McIntosh or Stovall as you're going into town.
Oh, yeah,
They might be interested in
that's like, they have an outlet store right there at the Thomas Crossroad.
where the, Catfish Holly used to be.
Better way?
Hmm?
Is it a better way?
A better way. They might be interested in, I mean, it would go toward something besides in Habitat making money off of it.
Don't they do the same thing, don't they sell them? They got a store there too.
They rehabilitate, I mean, they give people jobs that would otherwise be in jail, so, I don't know, it's just a thought.
No, it's a good thought, thank you. Could we have a motion that we do donate them rather than trying to sell them?
Mhm.
I have a motion to that effect, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, any corrections, additions, or whatever you, all in favor signify by right hand. Good, we'll get right on that. All right. You were given copies of the 2 septic tank bids, and if you read the report that I sent out, it wasn't that we just contacted 2, contacted many. We had at least 2 other partial bids. When those people were asked to come back and bid on the hard part, they never came back. So we got it narrowed down to the 2 bids. Have you had a chance to read over both of those?
Yes.
I have suggestions from 2 of the council members that we go with the contractor, which I refer to in the mail out as contractor A. Do we have a motion on that issue?
Yeah, and let me say this, and you went into more detail than what the public's getting to see here. All I see is 2 proposals, one with a higher price tag than the other one. But in the details you sent out to me, you gave more things to, you did, without stating who was who, the 2 different things with bidder A and bidder B. And under those things, you came back and told us that on follow-up, you had many recommendations for the guy that was A at the time. And you didn't get any from the other, even though you asked them. They didn't get any negative, but no one would get positive. And $3,000, $4,000 is not something to throw away, but the one that's local, the one that was local and had many good references from people that he had done work with, and it turns out to be the higher price, of course. But this is not something we'd want to muck around with on this development. Because once it's in there, you're going to live with it or you're going to hate it. So my recommendation is to go with the local guy here that's 33022.
Right. And would you like to put that in the form of a motion, please?
Well, let me say something first. You did get some negative reports about the other.
Yes, I did.
So there was negative on one side and positive on the other, and that's what led me toward A.
Yeah, and one of my better references gave a glowing recommendation for A, and he said, then on the other one, he said, he said, I just won't say anything. And that told wonders to me from who it was. So my recommendation is contractor A. And I think you have a motion on the floor to that effect.
Yes.
Is
And
there
I
a second?
second that.
And a second. Any more concerns or questions? All in favor of acceptance to contractor A, please signify by raised hand. So move. At this point, we're going to our form of public comment, and we'll start over here. Sir, with anything that you would like to approach on the council with tonight?
Not tonight, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nothing further, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Polly?
Of course.
Always.
Yeah, it's a moot at this point, but I think the amount set in that cash management thing for the mayor to spend without a council approval is way too big. And it's just way too big. There was something else, and I already forgot it.
Now, is that the revised amount, or?
The revised amount, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. And you'd said one time earlier that you didn't always have to have a meeting to get approval of things, that you did phone calls a lot. And when you're gonna spend that much money, it seems to me it wouldn't hurt to get on the telephone and make a phone call or two.
I think that's what we said, probably. If there's something, it goes so far as to say that if there is an emergency that arises, we will get a consensus by phone, and then we'll follow up at the next meeting formally.
That was above the stated amount, is how I remember it. And I do remember the other thing now. In the statement where y'all had the hearing, it was stated that there was only one change made to that cash management thing. It was referred to the only change. There were at least 10 or 12 changes on that thing.
So you, as a public...
But it doesn't matter now, y'all have already done it.
Very, very few times, if ever, have I agreed to spend any amount of money before getting consensus from the entire council. It's just my own protection. No? Joe?
You know, to that point, is it, I mean, with something like the septic system, is that something that's, it's advertised in the paper, right? And bid on?
It went a little bit further than that. Because we wanted bids from all over, we put it in the GMA, which covers the entire state. We did get one call on that article, and that was all. Right now, it appears that these septic tank guys, one of them told me, said, I'd like to bid on it, but I'm 3 weeks out, I can't even consider it. So, for some reason, they're awfully busy at this time right now.
But it was put in the Nina Times Herald as well?
No.
And that, I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I was thinking that would be more for protection, and I know the cash management thing is an issue, but if you're gonna spend money anywhere close to $5,000, I would think that it would be something that would probably be a biddable thing anyway, you know, or so, I don't know, I mean, I know in an emergency.
Depending on what it is.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we advertised, and I called every number in the phone book under the septic tank. And most of them said, all we do is clean out, clean out, clean out. I got 4 people at that point, and it boiled down to nobody came through with a final, complete bid with these 2 people. And we can't wait any longer.
I agree. I just got a couple other comments. I mean, I'd be willing to volunteer for the steering committee. Don't know, I mean, as a taxpayer and a business owner, that would be something I'd be willing to do. And then the other comment, now talking about the survey, is the website up and running now, or is it's not, the Survey Monkey can't go on yet?
No, it's gone out to council to look at it, to come up with additions, corrections, changes, and then what did she tell you about the final date as to if we got those things back to her? How long are we talking about before it's ready to go? But it's looking real good, very good.
That's all, thank you.
Poll of council, starting down here with Mr. Clay.
No one contacted me.
Okay.
congratulations.
Thank
You
you,
winning the election.
thank you.
It was a well-run campaign without any smear. I think Sharpsurg spoke up and elected the right person for the job.
Thank you, I hope so. Anything else?
No, sir.
Clerk's comments? No clerk's comments. On the mayor's minutes, something probably asked at the last meeting, reference to the street light down here at the Highway 16. We have sent them notices and asked them when they were going to get that done, but as of this today, we had not got a response back from them as to when they can install it.
Thank you.
We have a couple of things. With all that rain the other day, we had two places in town that need ditches cleaning out. So we put in our request, as we have to do, to the county to come help us with a problem on Tarrentine and one on Stovall Street where we had a little flooding, overflowing. As you know, over next to the school, our town entrance sign got demolished. We tried everything we could to find out who did it. They didn't file a police report with the sheriff or the state patrol. So it looks like we're gonna have to bite that one. So is everybody in favor, and there again, I need a motion to this effect, to go ahead and have that sign redone. It's approximately $730-something.
It was beyond repair.
Yeah.
I thought so.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, I make a motion, go ahead and do it. Maybe pick a different location.
Well,
Was it a car wreck or something? Or-
Yeah.
it came, you know where the sign was over, they
Failed,
started around the curve but didn't quite make it.
failed to stop.
And tore our sign up. Well, a week and a half later, another car almost made it a little bit further around and tore out two DOT signs. So that's a bad place.
What about where you had the merchant sign before? It didn't get hit but one time that I can remember. Right there, so when you come right to that dead end, there it sits, town of Sharpsurg.
Oh, straight in
You
front.
have the emergency signs right dead center, so you have to offset.
You have to offset it one way or the other.
Yeah,
And if we go to
but
the
you know what I
right,
mean, in that general area.
yeah, if we go to the right, we're in the county, so we'll look at it. I'll have somebody go over and we'll look at it. I have a motion on the floor that we redo it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion is second. No comments? All in favor of redoing the sign, by raised hand, unanimous. I need a motion to go into executive session because of legal matters. Do I hear a motion that we do that?
Motion?
Motion is there a second? Motion is second. All in favor signify by raised hand. Public, we will not be, but just very shortly, but we have to make that in a private meeting, so we'll be right back home.